Good evening, everyone. My name is Jordan Boyd. I'm pastor here at Rockwell AME Zion Church, and on behalf of myself and the officers and members of our church, we would like to say greetings to you and welcome to this evening's forum. Let's open with a word of prayer. Gracious God Almighty, thank you for again the gift of life, health, and strength, the articulation of our minds, and how you choose us to move to do your will. Abide with us tonight as we engage that which is important to you and to all people. Speak, Lord God, through us. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost we pray. Amen. Minister, my friend, Reverend Corinne Mack, will give instructions.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our third candidate forum. Tonight will be the county commissioners at large. There are actually 10 people running for office, but unfortunately, we just got the message about maybe an hour ago that the county commissioners called an emergency meeting. So many of the incumbents will not be here. Some may get here late, but thank God, those of us who do not know the new candidates will have ample opportunity to ask questions and hear from you. That's a blessing. There's always a blessing, no matter what it looks like. So I want to simply remind you that we are in a critical time. And in this critical time, quite often we tend to look at the national issues, but I want us today to be laser focused on local issues and local concerns. The county commissioners have a huge responsibility over all of the actual systems that directly affect the residents of Mecklenburg. Several departments. I don't want to say too much because the question may come up, what is your responsibility? And I want you to know what the responsibility is. But nonetheless, I'm excited to hear from you. I believe it's important that we know who's running for office. Not only know you, but know your ideology, know your heart, and discern whether or not you are going to be good for the residents of Mecklenburg. Most of you I know, and I know that you're good people. If you do not win this election, please, please run again, because everything is in God's time. Amen? And so I give you now my partner, and it's not in crime, but partner in love, my sister, my friend, my cohort, Colette Forrest.
So we first want to recognize Sheriff's candidate Rodney Collins and former City Council person Greg Phipps. They were so gracious and they wanted to sponsor. So the receptions and the goodies that you ate upon, they were by their hands. So we just want to recognize them and thank them. We always love listening to gospel and listening to Tanya Rivens. She has blessed us yet again with being our moderator. She is a Delta, and she is a strong community member and stakeholder, and we are just so blessed to have her as our moderator. Thank you so much. So the rules of engagement are simple. We have them on the table for the candidates. 1 minute per candidate for their intro, 2 minutes to answer questions, 1 minute for rebuttal, and 1 minute to close. So we have a special situation happening in Mecklenburg County, and we, as the NAACP and as the Charlotte Black Voter Project, we want to make certain that you're aware of it. Every cycle, midterm elections, presidential elections, you have the judges, and nothing speaks to Black History Month like the judicial system, because we know what we've gone through in the judicial system. So judges are extraordinarily important to justice and freedom. And we will have our judges tomorrow night, but we wanted to tell you about a unique situation here in Charlotte, Mecklenburg. Ty Hands, who's been a judge for many, many years, she is retiring. and her seat is on the district court bench. So that creates a vacancy. So the process that will be followed will be, because Ms. Hands, the Honorable Judge Hands, was a Democrat, the Democratic Party will appoint who they will send to the governor to fill that seat as their recommendation. Now, all the precinct chairs within the Democratic Party will meet tomorrow night on Zoom, and those candidates that are vying for that office will present themselves for a vote. The second part of the process is the Mecklenburg County Bar. The bar, who is constituted by licensed practicing attorneys in North Carolina, they will vote for the top 5. And those 5 names will go to Governor Stein as well. So he will receive the recommendations from the Democratic Party and from the Mecklenburg Bar. He might make a choice within those options, or he may appoint somebody else, who knows. But whomever is appointed, because the legislators have changed the rules, they have to immediately appear on the ballot for your voting consideration. So that means whomever is going to fill Judge Ty Hand's district court seat will appear on your ballot in November of 2026. So we wanted to, because we believe in justice, and this is Black History Month, and this is the Charlotte Black Voter Project and the NAACP. We are nonpartisan, but we want to always give you options, and that's what our whole candidate series has been about. Without further ado, I would like to bring forth former judge, both District Court and Superior Court, AKA Judge Kimberly Best. She will speak on her qualifications for consideration, because either way, you're going to be voting in November for a judge.
Thank you so much, Ms. Forrest, and thank you, Reverend Mack. Hello, everyone. For those who do not know me, I am Kimberly Best. I am a retired Superior Court judge. I retired as a Superior Court judge, and I am seeking to fill the vacancy of Judge Ty Hands, who recently retired, as you know. 14 years experience as a judge total, mainly as a district court judge, 13 months as a Superior Court judge. If I am blessed to return to the district court bench, I will still be the most experienced judge on that bench. I am one of the few judges that has practiced in every single courtroom possible in district court, any area. So your transition is a lot easier and it's seamless. And so Judge Hands is supporting me, and many of the judges are supporting me and welcoming me back to district court. I will be honest, I call district court the people's court. And I've always loved district court. So much so that when I became a Superior Court judge, people asked me, how do you like it? I said, I like it. But I prefer district court because district court is more impactful, I will be honest. You have more discretion, judges have more discretion. You have the opportunity to really change lives. And one of the things that I used to do in district court, and I practice in that area now, is I'm a certified juvenile judge, which means I handle the juvenile delinquency matters and the abuse, neglect, dependency, the DSS cases. Well, lo and behold, because of my practice in that area and my presiding over those matters, I became a licensed foster parent. I've provided respite to over 17 children, and the love of my life, the true love of my life, not some man, but my 9-year-old son who came to me straight from the hospital by way of DSS. I adopted one of those children. And he is 9 years old, and so I have his blessing. I have his blessing, and I have the blessing of my parents, my 86-year-old parents, to move forward with this decision. I thought they needed me, but clearly they told me they don't. So I am fine with that, but I ask for your support. I am still, if you're a Democrat, I have remained active since my last election. I'm a member of the State Executive Committee, the SEC. I'm vice chair for Congressional District 12, which is the district for Alma Adams. And I previously served as vice chair for the Democratic Women of Mecklenburg County. And I previously organized my precinct in Matthews and Mint Hill. And I served, or at least served with others. We had sort of what we call a caucus of the Matthews Mint Hill Democrats. And so I've been involved and remained involved. And of course, even though I have on red, I have my pink and green bracelets on. I am a life member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, having been initiated in 1989 at the University of Michigan, which is Beta Eta chapter. But I am also a proud alum of Indiana University Law School. So I have 2 Big Tens that are national champions that I have attended. So I have to throw that out there. So, but we're not talking about that other school in Columbus, Ohio. Michigan and Ohio State have a very healthy rivalry. But I ask for your support. If you know any chairs or vice chairs, please ask them to vote for me. I am trying to get through the list as fast as I can and literally contact everyone. I do have a conversations with Kimberly tonight, and I will have one tomorrow before the actual vote. But I ask for your support, but I also thank you for the many, many years of service and your votes over 5 different elections. I've been in Charlotte, it'll be 29 years in June. So I can't even believe it's that long. I've spent more time in Charlotte than I did from my hometown of Detroit. So, but I asked for your support. And I also forgot to mention, I also served 4.5 years as a magistrate, which falls up under your judicial canons as well. So you're talking about 20 years almost under the judicial canons and judicial ethical rules. So I thank you so much for your assistance and your help, your support. And thank you once again for allowing me to come and speak to everyone.
So without further ado, if we would have the pleasure of having all candidates that are seeking the consideration of voters for at-large Board of County Commission. So we have 3 candidates, and then we have an individual at the end that would like to read a statement for Mrs. Thompson, that is an at-large candidate. Next week, Thursday. So we have the calendar for you as well to make sure you get one. But early vote begins next week, Thursday. And we have the schedule for you if you didn't receive one. So without further ado, Ms.
All right,
Ryder.
thank you. I also want to just shameless plug. I represent president of the Charlotte Area Association of Black Journalists. She mentioned gospel music. People are looking for 100.9. We're on 102.5 at 6:10 a.m. And I also contribute to WCCB TV. Get all of that in. And then just a reminder, we've got a timekeeper right down front. So please adhere to the time so that everyone has, be allowed an equal amount of time to speak. Thank you.
You would stand up, Mr. Derek Nash. He is a fellow shop steward and fellow union member of IAM, International Aerospace Association of Machinists. And we thank you for being here. Green, go. Yellow, red.
Make sure you stop. Thank you so much. And thank you all again. Let's give them a round of applause for putting this together. This has been very informative for everyone. And I think that, again, because we have the information, then we're able to make informed choices. So let's get started. And the first step is to do introductions. And we'll allow you all to do your introductions. We'll start on this end, if that's okay, with the gentleman to go first.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad we get to meet in person. I know we were supposed to meet on Saturday, but I'm just glad this wasn't on Zoom. I just find it a lot easier to actually get to connect with people, eat some food, and share conversation. Unlike being on Zoom, which my wife tells me I can get a little bit intense. So as intimate as this setting is, let's make this a conversation and really get to know each other. I think we're at a point in a blue stronghold like Mecklenburg where we're kind of in the middle of an identity crisis right now. And we really need to ask ourselves, what are our values? And you know, we can either be the type of place where we choose developers over people, or we could choose to develop our people. So on that front, I hope you get to know me a little bit better, and I hope to earn your vote by the end of today. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm Tony Emmahel, of course, running for the at-large position on the County Commission Board. You will have three options in this race. You can vote for any two other candidates that you'd like. I just ask that you reserve one of your votes for me. I am a native Charlottean. I did not just arrive here in this setting to improve the quality of life for residents here in Mecklenburg County. It's been what I've done all of my professional life. I've worked with the 26th Judicial Circuit, championing those issues dealing with children and families and what happens to the child when the two parents separate. I've also worked with looking at our aging population, those with disabilities, those on fixed incomes. Again, there's a lot that I'll have to share with you. Be sure that you get one of these cards before you leave. I'm Tony Emmahel, running for County Commission at Large.
First, giving an honor to God, I am Nichelle Dunlap Thompson. It is an honor to be sitting here in front of you all. I've been in Charlotte all of my life. Everyone who I love is either here or buried here. And so it is my honor and my duty to represent my county in the way that I've always done. I don't know how many of you all remember or familiar with Ethan Rivera. Unfortunately, we lost Ethan to a fortunate violent attack while he was on the job. As a former operator, I find it very disheartening to clock in to work, but then unable to clock out to go home. So my platform consists of public safety, mental health access, workforce development, and accountable, transparent governance. In this season, we have to ensure that the policies that we're implementing will protect the people. In this season, we have to ensure that the ones we elect to represent us understands the value, and I assure you that when all else fails, vote Nichelle.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gia Baker. I'm here sitting in for my candidate, Miss Felicia Tompkins, who has had over 12 years in social service work and working in with the children, with foster care kids. She's also had dealings with the transportation system that we have here, as well as her mother came from the transportation system. She's also worked as an adult caregiver as well, so she's very well-rounded about what we need to know as a people. She is here to advocate for our seniors here who are very underheard, to make sure that we can get them into the programs and that they are more knowledgeable about the things that are available to them. We are here to advocate for them and to make sure that they become more heard and that they can live off of their things. We have so many things to offer if you just go to our website, votefeliciatompkins.com, and you will learn so much in what her platform stands for. Thank you.
All right, thank you, candidates and Surrogate, for the statements, opening statements. I want to jump right into the questions for the candidates, and I'll start with you, Ms. Emmahel. A big part of being on the county commission is they handle a lot of money, a really big budget. Can you speak about your experience in handling large budgets or any fiscal responsibilities?
Absolutely. There's a time in my life where I have served on homeowner association boards. And the last association board I served on was a community of 540 homeowners. And then we have those assessments that come in annually where we have to determine how those monies are going to be applied and not just how they're going to be applied to improve the quality of life for the community in which we serve there, but also how those monies are going to be applied with the maintenance and the upkeep of the community. Homeowner associations are kind of like what the Mecklenburg County government does. So you have to make sure that you have policies in place that govern and dictate what you can and what you cannot do with the money. And then you have to also hold those members accountable. Just like our county government, there are votes on the budget and where money should be. And not all the time you have the board members don't always vote the way they should. Some may vote in a majority to breach what policies say. So I've always been that one voice that will stand up to protect the rights of the people, especially when you align policy, the law, and what the rights of the people are. So in this particular race and with our county, I don't think we see enough of that. And that is why our citizens here in the county, our citizens across the state are groaning about their current living conditions, the quality of their roads, the congestion, and the violence that goes on in our environment. So yes, I have had that experience with budgets.
Thank you for your question. So I've been the South Carolina State Project Lead Organizer for the past 2 years, and what I have been doing is one of my strong characteristics is I have a skill set in coalition building. And so by the grace of God, I was able to form a coalition of over 40 organizations to fight for a community benefits agreement in Blythewood, South Carolina, on behalf of the community. As the statewide project organizer, I handled the entire budget for the 2 years. That entailed, of course, processing receipts that called for organizing events in the community. That was also a situation where reimbursements had to be handled through vendors. And so to just say in short, as that project lead / project manager, budgeting is a key part, was a key part of ensuring that we had the necessary resources to execute and conduct the work. Because of those efforts and the managing of those budgets, just recently last month, I was invited to the State House by Representative Gilda Cobb Hunter to discuss some legislation, the language for a bill that would be introduced upon corporate responsibility. So because of those budgeting skill sets and the managing of that project over a course of 2 years, we were able to open up a discussion with the legislators there around ensuring that workers would be protected there in that community and that the harm would be minimized from the corporation. So budgeting is not new to me. I enjoy being able to identify the necessary resources in order to conduct the work. And so that is one of the things that I'm definitely looking forward to working on, making sure our policies and our budget represents our people.
I've been a senior manager at a major technology firm where I was responsible for my department's budget. In addition to that, I have been a small business owner before. I have had my own law practice where I've had to manage that budget as well. But where I may lack expertise in managing a public budget, I make up for as a white-collar investigations attorney and a former prosecutor. I used to prosecute major financial frauds. So what that entails is having to go into businesses that are under the microscope, completely understand how their businesses are run, and understand their financials, and see where money might be missing or see where money is kind of leaking out. To give you a good example of some of the work that I do, especially as a white-collar investigations attorney, I actually just made a post on Instagram. Please go to Sharif for Mech, where I detail how the Community Lifeline Project which is a police training facility that's been planned on the Matthews campus of CPCC. I go into detail exactly how the plan went through zoning, how it goes through to the Mecklenburg Financial Office, and then how it reaches the County Commission for vote. And the reason why I took the time to draw that out is because people need to know when $120 million is approved for an expense for education really goes to a militarized police training center. And the reason why we need to know that is because when we need to fund our schools, we put a referendum on the bill and we have a school bond that people have to approve. And $5,000 is raised over the course of 30 years with that bond, but $120 million within days is spent just like that by the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to follow up, I've been told the budget is about $2.6 billion for our current county commission. So that's why I was asking about that. I want to share or ask, out of the three, it's kind of like the county commission. I'll start with Ms. Dunlap Thompson. It's really social services as well as providing around health care. I'd like to ask you, of the two, social services and health care, which do you think carries the most importance to be addressed and why?
Thank you so much for that question. So my platform is around mental health access, and that is so very important because I think that what we are seeing right now, not just in our county, but on a broader scale, with all of the various cutbacks, with all of the departmental cuts, with all of the uncertainty that we are experiencing right now just as a people, what that does is that increases stress levels. What that does is that causes individuals to make rash decisions because they feel like their options are very minimum. And so I believe that we have to start to focus more so on the individual safety so that we can improve the public safety. And one of the things that I did notice is when I was doing a little bit of the research is that the funding, to speak to Brother Sharif's point, the funding that we're putting into our law enforcement agencies is not representative of the height of the mental crises that we're experiencing. And what it shows is that we may be misappropriating funds in the wrong department. And if we could pay a little bit more attention to the services that are needed for the people, I believe we wouldn't need to have those departments of legal aid, or not legal aid, but law enforcement. Those pots won't need to be as fluffed, and we won't have the conversations that we're having right now currently because we're focused on the people. I also have a very special place for my seasoned community. My grandmother is 91 years young, and my mother is taking care of her. And I enjoy spending time with her, but everyone is not as fortunate as she is. She's very blessed to be surrounded around her family where she can age in place very safely. Unfortunately, we have so many of our seasoned community members that don't have that same narrative. And so because of, in honor of my grandmother, Estelle Dove, who worked at Good Samaritan Hospital, it would be I think, a disservice to her and her memory if I did not uphold the needs of my seasoned community. I yield.
Brother Sharif.
Who here has had to have that conversation with their elderly parent about responding to text messages or instant messages that are trying to pull a fast one on them? There's an epidemic that's going on, and it's gotten really bad, especially after the pandemic, and there are a lot of lonely seniors out there. And there is an interplay here of social services and healthcare that is really important that we need to find budget for. So there is a wonderful program here with senior centers, and I would advocate, if not building new buildings, to find the money to expand programs. And a part of that is we need to find ways to help older folks bond, right? We want to make sure that they're not lonely. We want to make sure that they have access to resources, access to transportation to get to healthcare appointments and that sort of thing. There's another program which also kind of intersects that line of social services and healthcare, and that's the Children's Early Development Program, which the county currently spends $11 million on. Right? I think it's really important to kind of put that into perspective. Of that $2.6 billion budget, $11 million is spent on this children's development program. That program does everything from provide funding and help for prenatal health care all the way up to 5 years old. And that's exactly the kind of investment that we need to be making into that interplay of social services and healthcare. Thank you.
So just for clarity, the priority would be social services for you.
I cheated a little bit on that, and I chose both, and my goal was to kind of show that intersection.
That's fine. That's fine.
Non-answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I remember she had stated that was part of her platform was mental health. So, all right. Ms. Emma Hill.
Again, I think that's a great question, but the reality is that with our current budget, we should not have to choose between either, because the answer is both, and both is what our people and our community need. Because we need to be, as a county, addressing the felt needs of our community. And how do you get around that? You have to hold the current public officials accountable for the budget, that every dollar is shown in how it improves the quality of life and connects with the people of this community. So no, I would not choose between either. I choose both because we have budget for both. We just simply have to hold our public officials accountable for every dollar.
Thank you. I want to move on and talk about our unhoused community. And we've seen it, and there are a lot of factors that are causing what's happening in our community. But I would like to start on this end again. And just can you share your plan or suggestions or ideas to address the unhoused homeless population that we have? It's happening not just in our city.
It is clear that there are downward pressures on funding for every single social service out there, and it's heartbreaking, especially when you see how cold it's been, you see how much it's been snowing, and if you've ever spent time at one of the roof above men's shelters, you'll see that it just gets packed the colder it gets. And this all stems, there's two main reasons for this, right? One is affordability is just making it harder and harder for people that just feel like they're down and out for the count. And it's just making it too difficult. And we're not helping our community in the way that we need to. And then the other part of it is I think we just need more access. We need more access to mental health services, and we need to expand on the services that are already in existence, both non-law enforcement and law enforcement on that side, to make sure that we are addressing folks as they are and bringing them to the services that they need. And from that effect, I think that would really allow us to one, take better note and understand the data behind where folks are as far as the homeless or unhoused communities, but also to just make sure that we're maximizing our resources. Thank you.
So I would say that we need to be proactive in our community in looking at some of the causes that tend to make people find themselves into this homeless state. And that goes anywhere from making sure that from an economy perspective that residents are making a living wage. We have people who are being priced out of the community. We have predators that even prey on people's homes, behind in taxes, to HOA associations, the benchmarks for foreclosure. All of those things can be looked at through a lens of being proactive to fight and to make a stand and make changes, even policy changes, state law changes, as it relates to how these people actually find themselves in a homeless state. We cannot neglect the fact that with evictions and some of the things that take place with that, you know, working in the field of law with my husband, his practice, and some other attorneys that I've worked for throughout the city, when we deal with evictions, it's not always because rent has not been paid. There have been other issues, code violations that landlords refuse to take care of. And those things can push people into a homeless state. So let's deal with a proactive approach. Let's look at what we can do to increase wages and resources in this community. Let's look at those things that push the residents out of their homes. And then let's make sure that we're looking at laws and policies and what we can do, not what we can't do, and not what we're doing too late in the game. But let's be proactive in addressing these measures.
Thank you so much for your question. So the migration to Charlotte is, and I know this is a county conversation, but the migration to Charlotte alone, most of those individuals have very, very deep pockets. It has been said that 7.5% of our single homes are owned by corporate ownership, okay? The median income for your Charlotte resident is between $82,000 and $83,000. The average home now is about $440,000. This is not a housing crisis, this is a justice crisis. And until we begin to demand the corporations to pay their fair share, to act as neighbors that care about the community that they're doing business in, we're going to continue to see this crisis that is titled as a housing crisis. Now, the other piece to this is to speak to Sharif's point when he talked about the roof above. The spirits are low. The spirits are low. I know for a fact on a good day, it takes a lot for me to get up and to make an effort to do what it is as a contributing citizen. Imagine if you don't have a place to call home. Imagine if you don't have a place to take a warm or hot shower. How does that prepare you for the struggles and the challenges of the next day? The corporations that come to town, we're grateful for the economic mobility that they bring, but there is still a level of responsibility that is associated with that type of wealth. That means that we need to put a limit on the land usage. If the land is being used for business purposes, let that purpose come with a contingency. Let them be able to provide for the workers that they're employing, that they'll have a place to stay and go to work the next day. I yield.
Thank you. I appreciate you all being obedient to the time, too. Thank you so much. You're going to represent all of the county. I'm a native of Cornelius, and it was very much country in the past. I would like to start, I believe it's on you, Mrs. Emma, identify one of the surrounding towns in the county that's a part of the municipality, and discuss one of the problems that they're having and how you would address it.
I could probably flip a coin and call Matthews. I could flip a coin and say Pineville. I could flip a coin and say Huntersville. And the issue is growth. Growth with a lack of infrastructure to adequately make sure that the current residents aren't negatively impacted by the growth to bring in new residents from other areas. And that is the issue of all municipalities within the Mecklenburg County. Hands down, that is it.
Any suggestions on how you, if elected, would address these issues?
Well, I believe that if again, there's a lot of focus on bringing more economy into Mecklenburg County. So when we look at doing that, what we can't do is leave our current residents out of that equation. So there needs to be more community engagement. And I know that zoning is at the city level, but we need to be currently engaged in conversations and strengthening the relationships across municipalities, not just when we get to the groaning phase, but it has to be relationships on a regular basis where we are talking about what is going on in Mecklenburg County. And it starts with a collaborative conversation with all municipalities at the table before decisions are made. And then we all are aware of what the plans are, what the challenges are, and then the representatives at the table need to come to the table with the ear that has been open for active listening and a mouth that will speak for the people. And that is what I offer.
Thank you for your question. So in my conversation, making my way around the county, one of the things, Matthews, that I had a conversation about, unfortunately, I know many of you all are familiar with the expansion of the rail that was promised to them. And so what has happened is, from my conversations in the community, business owners spent X amount of dollars. And I'm not talking about $500, $1,000, $200,000. Business owners spent millions of dollars preparing their establishments to be able to accommodate the expansion of the rail. When the rail did not occur, it has now left those business owners who spent those dollars with no confidence in our county governance. And then to add to the point, there is a tax that is of concern where the business owners feel that the residents can just travel to Union County and they won't be under that same tax burden. So one of the things that I would like to do when I'm elected is to rebuild that trust within the community, as well to identify a potential solution on how we allow those commuters out in those particular townships access to the resources and services and the jobs that we have here in Center City, Charlotte. I think that, in fact, one of my pieces on my platform when I speak about public safety, but that comes from my background with transportation. As a former CATS operator, residents' capability of being able to commute around the county, to commute around the town and the city is directly tied to their success and their quality of life. And it is up to us to ensure that what we promise, we deliver. It is up to us to ensure that we are giving these residents every opportunity to be successful. I yield.
You know, Nichelle, if the time runs out, you're not yielding the time. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. It's been really something to be able to go around Mecklenburg and hear from the voters what's on top of mind. Just one example, I'll stick with Matthews as well. Listening to some of the residents over there, they mentioned specifically the response time for ambulances on the edge of the county. And this is really problematic. I heard one story where someone had his wife, who previously had a stroke, have to wait for over an hour for an ambulance to show up at their house. That's just inexcusable. A part of county services is EMS response and coordination. And there's no excuse for leaving folks that are in the unincorporated parts of the county or on the edges of the county, including the towns, to have to deal with that. And I echo Nichelle's point. Really, one of the goals, I think, of the county commission should be to coordinate a response, a more unified front with the municipalities internally. And one example of that is the I-77 toll road. This is a project, if people even knew a little bit about this, if they just scratched the surface, no one wants it. It's pretty much a giveaway of toll money to private interests just for the benefit of an express lane. But the only way to do anything about it on the county level is to rally the other towns and work with the city to make sure that neighborhoods aren't ripped through and graveyards aren't buried.
Okay.
Unburied, sorry.
I'm going to challenge you all to please talk more about North Mecklenburg as well. Cornelius, Davis, and Huntersville, where we have the tolls already, and they're a real problem. I'm going to be able to take I will take three questions. Time is winding down, so anyone, those were all my questions, but I'd like to see if anyone would like to ask questions. Okay, let me start one here, and then we'll go there.
What is the difference between a politician and a public servant?
Public service don't take money. No, I'm joking. Strike that from the record. I'm so sorry.
That question is directed to all three, correct? All right.
I believe that the difference is in the mind of the beholder, but I am not a politician. I came to this platform to do the work, to continue the work that I'm already doing in the community, and that is improving the quality of life for others. My daily standard and my daily operation is to add value to the lives of others. So I'm not a politician. This is a political process that I have to go through in order to gain more leverage to do what I do. But make no mistake about it, wherever I am at, if a citizen trusts me with their humanity, I'm going to trust them with mine as I become a mouthpiece for them to bring about an improved outcome for whatever that issue is that they are experiencing.
So I guess I'll answer the question now properly. So I've been in service all of my life. I spoke real briefly about my grandmother, Estelle Dove. Grew up there in Southside. Love you, T. And she taught me at an early age. First, she taught me how to serve and fear God, first and foremost. Then she taught me that love is an action word and it does not keep record. And I am a servant of the Most High first. I answer to God, not man. And what my grandmother instilled in me is that when you put someone in front of you, when you put someone else's needs in front of yours, God will prioritize your need. And so saying that, I don't know anything about being a politician, but I do know about being a servant of the people. I was a servant of the people when I threw the Cherry Community Connection cookout. I was a servant of the people when we shut down CATS. Thank you, President Mack, for supporting me. The largest action of its kind since 1990, back in February when Ethan Rivera was shot and killed. I'm a servant of the people right now, getting up at 5. This is the seventh meeting of the day, and I'm gonna wake up in the morning and I'm gonna do it all over again. I'm not getting paid for this. I am doing this because this is what I was called to do. There is no amount of money, there is no prestige, and there is no title that you can pay me that will outweigh my reward from the Most High. I yield. I can yield
now. I can attest to both of my fellow candidates here that they are public servants in that way. I'm going to take a little bit different of an approach. I think it's important to really understand the difference between an individual and a community. I'm a big family person, right? I am a person of faith, and I am a person of community. And what that entails is, that entails having grown up in a place with a set of values where if an elder person needs help with picking up something, moving something, you do it, right? You pick up the newspaper and bring it to the front door, right? You watch the kids that are in your neighborhood. And the reason why I mention that is, public servants are folks that are raised in a community. These are folks that from a very young age understand that It's not just about me and my own. It's not just about my tribe. It's about giving back in every way that you can. And I think the difference between a public servant and a politician cares about themselves. A politician cares about their tribe. A politician cares about the masters that feed them money. A public servant is somebody who goes to work every day and makes tough decisions that are the best possible decisions that they can make based on their values, right? But they know that just because someone didn't vote for them, just because someone's not in their tribe, just because someone may have called them a name at some point, that they're not going to be petty about it, that they're going to step up every single time, no matter how hard it is, right? So I will attest to this. I've seen both of these women on the trail the last couple of weeks. There is a difference between people that speak genuinely and the truth, and pay attention to it, right? Thank you so much.
I believe, Al, you had a question?
So thank all of you for willing to kind of step into this role. I'm a former city councilman, so blessings and prayers to you. On a federal level, black and brown business owners are struggling because that person, in other words, that person that sits on Pennsylvania Avenue doesn't like DEI, doesn't like helping black people, brown people, women, anything. The county has a budget of $2.5 billion with a B. How are you going to ensure that the people in this county, particularly black business owners, women business owners, are going to get a piece of that, and holding those leaders who sit up in those offices and make those decisions accountable to make sure that this money that all people are paying, that we're getting some part of that? Because I'm a black business owner, and we're starting to suffer if we have contracts with the federal government. And I don't want to see the same thing happen on a county level as well. Thank you.
So I thank you so much for that question. You organize, you mobilize, and you strategize. And what that means is the business owners have to rally together, first and foremost, and build a structure of power, first and foremost. Now, the county commission has a responsibility to ensure that its residents and business owners alike are well supplied and have the resources necessary. But I also believe in who keep us safe, we keep us safe. I can advocate for you, but that doesn't mean anything if you all don't advocate for yourselves. So what I would like to do as county commissioner is create a conversation amongst the black, African-American, black and brown business owners to find out what the setbacks have been since the individual that is on Pennsylvania Avenue has caused such a disruption in our systems and our governmental processes, as well as in our accounting. And once we can identify what those discrepancies look like, then we can further have an informed conversation to demand what we need. And that only comes from having a collective, having the same conversation with the same demands. And that way, we'll know where to apply what's needed most. That is what I would say to that question. I yield.
So I love everything that this representative has put out there with regard to the responsibility and really being able to pick up the burden yourselves as business owners to toe the line. I would add to that there are policies in place now within some of our intergovernmental agencies that make it challenging, if not prohibited, for small businesses to gain access to the contracts and to that budget that we're talking about. And so the first thing because I'm a policy person, the first thing that I'm going to do once on the commission is show me to the file room and let me see what y'all been doing. Let me see what the policy is. Let me see how it has been used and weaponized against small businesses to keep them from being able to be in the game. Now, this is something that has evolved over time, and I've heard it on the campaign trail by many small business owners here. We are a community. Mecklenburg is a community. We should not be playing to the tune of these large organizations and leaving our community organizations, i.e. the small businesses, on the sidelines and not able to get into the game. So the first thing is to look at the policies and then the practices and how it is really serving our people, the small business owners. And that is my commitment, is to look at those organizations in that fashion. Also, Commissioner Vilma Leak started some years ago a small business consortium that's still in play. Now, whether or not it's effective, I don't know. I have to get in the seat and get more behind the scenes to be able to see that effectiveness and apply myself. Thank you.
I think we need to be doing a lot to encourage entrepreneurship right now and to support entrepreneurship. We're headed in a place where there's a lot of technology disruption that's coming, and I think that there's just going to be more folks that are going to have to figure out how to make ends meet. And that's just not something that the Black and brown communities are unaware of. A lot of entrepreneurship in this city is based on that. Now, I have two perspectives on this, right? From a government contract kind of perspective, the first thing that I would do, one of the first things that I would do is to really do an audit of every consultancy and outside legal counsel fee in every single department of this county. There's a lot of money that's spent, and that's spent again on known partners, right? Because of the relationships that have been built in time. And I think that kind of perspective puts onus on service providers that are providing to the county to really think about the value that they're bringing, and it allows the county to also assess what the issue is. I think there's, I mean, just especially on the east side of town, northeast side of town, there's a lot of different immigrant communities that have a vast number of businesses. And just the way a lot of these, the alliances are, it's more informal. And I think as county commissioners, we need to find the spaces that they're in to have the conversations with them, to let them know that the government is here to assist and help with them and to listen to them. And I do think that we have an affirmative responsibility to help communities that may not feel like they have access, to empower them so they do actually have access and they have the conversations with us. Wow, I actually ran out of time on this one, but you know what? Maybe I'll get some time back. Maybe Nichelle will yield some time to me.
So we're actually, I had said that we would take 3 questions, but time has run out on us. And thank you all for sharing all that you've shared. I would like now for you to provide a closing statement, and I believe the time is 1 minute. And if it's okay, we'll start with Ms. Dunlap Thompson.
So the moment that we're in right now, we need a candidate that understands the urgency of now. We need a candidate that understands that every resident in this county is suffering in some shape, form, or fashion, whether that is publicly or whether that is silently. What I am hoping to do, what I know that I am capable of doing, is showing a level of compassion and comprehension and implementation to ensure that each county resident is able to provide for themselves, have a level of stability, and to feel grounded and have a level of trust within their government. And so my hope is on February the 12th, beginning February the 12th, that when you look and see the systems that may have failed, when you look and see the individuals, whether it was from their own fault or not, that have failed, I ask that you will consider on voting Nichelle. As a Charlotte native, as an activist, as an organizer, as a woman of the cloth. I assure you that your life will improve when I get in that seat. I yield.
Again, I am Tony Emahel. You can find more information about me and my platform at aimhighwithtony.com. Again, that's aimhighwithtony.com. I'm asking for your vote. Again, you get 3. All I want is 1, right? So leave this place tonight, reach out to 10 people and tell them to vote for Tony Emahel for County Commissioner at Large. And what I stand for is improvement of the outcomes for our residents in Mecklenburg County, from the north to the south, from the east to the west, and everything in between. I believe in the power of one voice. One voice can make all the difference that you don't see now. So, vote for Tony Emahel. Thank you.
I tried to avoid the doom and gloom, but I'll give you a little bit of it. On every level right now, we're being divided and conquered. In so many ways, what's happening here is what we've been doing abroad. And in a lot of ways, the chickens are coming home to roost. We need to be able to work together in coalitions. There's not one single group of us that can do this alone. But what we can do is understand and decide what our values are. And for me, I am, at my core, all about truth and justice. And there's no other way around that. I don't care if truth and justice means that it's something against my family or my tribe. I'm always going to side with truth and justice. And that's what I'm about. And I want to go into public office, continue to build those coalitions, and work for those that don't have a voice right now, empower them, and get them to the table so they're having conversations. I'm Sharif Hanan. I'm running for at-large, and I would love your vote. Thank you so much.
You've done an outstanding job. Let's give them a round of applause. You all have done a great job. I'm going to turn it back over to the organizers. It's been an honor to assist you tonight.
And thank you so much.
Well, that was exciting, actually. It was so great not only to hear from each person running for county commissioner who is not an incumbent, of course, but to see the hearts of individuals who truly, truly care. If you use your discernment, you truly know who is for the people, who is not. Oftentimes what we do is vote for people because they live down the block from us. We were raised together. I've known them for 100 years. Your best friend can be an excellent best friend, but not best to serve the people of Mecklenburg. I am personally asking you, Reverend Curran Mack, the president of the NACP, 52 years of civil rights, 29 times arrested, elevating the lives of people, to please stop and think about what has happened over the course of the last 10 years before the crazy man got into office. What has happened here in Mecklenburg in just the last 10 years did not elevate the working class and the working poor. And we must be intentional about moving in the spirit of love. And as my brother Sharif said, telling the truth matters. Being authentically honest with ourselves and each other. And when we go into that ballot box, think about it. Even before you get there, pray about it. And know that this is a critical time, and each of us can make a difference. But more importantly, after this election is over, we continue to support those who took the time to even run for office. It's not an easy decision to make. Just sitting here and pouring out their hearts to you as an individual can be difficult sometimes, especially when you're not a public speaker. But they're doing that. So I commend each and every one of you. Now, some of you I've known for a long time, but my heart is so full because each of you did an excellent job. Not that the answers were perfect, but it was you, your authentic self, and so I appreciate that. For those of you who know me, you know I'm about God's business, and I play no games. I'm telling you now, if we do not, each of us, make a decision, a serious decision, to vote for people beyond our friends and our family members, we're going to be in this very same place in November that we were last year and the year before that. That doesn't mean that some of the incumbents are not good. That simply means that we need to be very intentional and committed to the journey that we're in. We're in the journey of our lives. We're at war. And oftentimes we've been at war with one another. In the Spirit of God, we must learn to forgive and move forward. And we are much stronger together. And so please, listen to the answers tonight, ponder on the answers tonight, and begin to make a decision as to who you're going to vote for. Not just take a card that someone decided was the best leaders, but you make the individual decision as to what's best for you, your family, and your communities. God bless you all.